Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to go over this week's options watch list. Before I get started in the video, if you're not in the room, you can find the link in the description of the video in the bio section of social media. I don't see anything on the economic calendar that has any significant impact this week. So we get the Fed speakers here and there, but we get them all week long. So I don't see anything substantial this week as far as during the day. So with that said, I only got a few on the bearish side and a decent amount on the bullish side. The weekly SPY is an inside weekly candle red hammer, so it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen this week. That's why you need to be in the room, because the gap ups can play a role on how my thesis and how I'm going to play. Sometimes the gaps up too much and it just changes how I look at things, so that's why you need to be in the room and look at the trade ideas in the morning and throughout the day to understand what I'm looking at and how and what I'm going to be playing. So with that said, I'll start with the bearish side first. Like I said, the SPY weekly candle is an inside hammer, so we'll have to see what actually happens this week. So UPS is the first one I have on the watch list. Now you can see it's way outside the Keltner channel, and I was watching it last week, and I think I'm going to continue watching it until it actually pulls back down into the 165 area. So if it does manage to break the lows of the let's say 210, you got a gap fill right here at 207.50 to the 206, then you get support right here at 201, then you get the big psychological number of 200. It could likely bounce at 200 if it does drop, so this will be end up if the market's weak. UPS could have a nice little gap down, not gap down, but yeah, could have a gap down too, but a nice little drop. Target is another one. Target's been diverging for weeks. You can see right here, high, higher high, and you get the lower high RSI and MACD. Histogram, not so much. It's kind of flattened out a little bit, but the divergence is there. The extension is pretty extreme on the hourly, so I would watch it underneath 225, 224 actually. We can see even 224.50 for a push to 220, 250, 220 area. Then you get this area right here that's going to be pretty big. It's the 218, so I would watch the 218. It does manage to break that. You get the 215 area, then you get down here into the 213. So a lot of diverging on target, and it can diverge for weeks. So just have to see what happens. Just like Baidu and Roku, I called the drop for weeks, and then it finally had the massive drop. So I think UPS and Target is going to end up being next. Speaking of that, I wonder if I see Deer didn't drop as much, so I probably won't watch Deer because I've got other things to watch. JP Morgan is another one. Get a head and shoulders on the hourly and get the left and the head and the right, so I'd watch it underneath the 162 area for a push to 160. Then if it gets below 160, 159, 158, then if it does manage to break the 157 area, watch for push to 155, 154, 152, and 150 big psychological number for JP Morgan, so I would watch that. Now on the bullish side, now remember, my thesis can easily change just on the gap ups alone. I watched this last week, stair stepping. It kind of like has like a little flag that pops, flag pops, flag pops, and I think it's going to do the same thing right here. So I would watch it over Friday's high of I would say 236.50, 237 for push to 240. It's over 240, push to 245. Then you get 250, 253, 254. Then you get this area right here, which is 270, and this is where it's been rejecting. So it could end up seeing a push to 270 on that. Shack is another one. Let's see. Now Shack had a gap down from earnings, and it started to recover a little bit. Now it's kind of like having an ascending wedge right here on the daily. I would watch it over Friday's high over 85.50 for push to 87, then push to 90, 91. Then you get this 95 gap resistance right here, 95 area. So it'll most likely try to reject that. I don't think it will fill the gap. It will probably reject it, pull back a little bit, then try to go for it. Microsoft is another one. Now the thing I like about Microsoft is every time it gets to the middle Keltner channel, it bounces like a here, here, and through here and here and here. So I'm watching the same thing. It's got the same kind of like inside hammer candle as SPY, so it will be heavily SPY dependent. If it does get over Friday's high of we'll say 248, going to be a push to 250. Then you get 250, 250. Then you get the 254, 255. Then you get this gap support, right, gap resistance right here to we'll say 256.50, 256 in that area, and it could most likely reject a little bit at first, pull back, then try to make the gap fill. So I would watch for that. Now Tesla is another one. Even though Bitcoin is getting destroyed right now, I just see it keep bouncing. See it bouncing up the RCT trend line. So if it does manage to hold and get over Friday's high, we'll say of 598, push to 600, then 6, we'll say 614, 615, then you get 620 and 625, which is right about here. Then you get the 630. Basically every $5 to $10 is going to be strong resistance. 640. Then you get the 650 area, would be a big psychological number. Then you get the 660. So we could end up seeing Tesla reverse, assuming that something doesn't happen with Bitcoin or Tesla's got bad news or something. But it's possible it could, if it breaks below this low of 550, it could end up going to 500. So be aware of that. Pins is another one. I've been watching pins and Twitter. Pins, gap down, and starting to curl back up and rejecting off the middle Keltner channel of the daily. So I would watch it over Friday's high of 62 for a push to 63, 64, 65, basically every whole dollar. 66. So if it does manage to get over 66, you get a little bit of resistance right here from the gap down. So gap resistance here at 70, 69.70, 67.50. So I watch that area. Most likely, if it does manage to get up to the 70, 69.70 area, it'll probably reject and pull back a little bit. So I don't have Twitter on my list, but I always watch Twitter. Okay, wait a minute. Where'd my thing go? Okay, there we go. Yeah, Twitter's pretty much doing the same thing. It's curling. So, but yeah, it's got inverted head and shoulders right here. So yeah, I definitely watch Twitter. I thought I had that on my list, but apparently I didn't. But inverted head and shoulders, left, head, right. So if it does manage to get over the 55 area, watch for a push to 56. Then you get the gap support, gap resistance right here at 60. We'll say 58. So 55, 58. If it does manage to get over this 57, 58 area, it's probably most likely going to fill a gap up here to 64. So that could be a nice play itself. Roku is another one. Now, Roku, it's bouncing off the middle Keltner, I'm sorry, the RCT trend line in the on the weekly. So I would watch that over Friday's high of, let's see, 340 for a push to 350, be a big psychological number. Then 360, 355, 360. Then you get 365, 370. In this 377 area. So it does manage to get over this 370, actually 380 on the weekly right here. It does manage to get over that. It's probably going to get it pushed to 400. So Roku could have a strong move. We'll have to see if it actually does. Netflix. Now Netflix was one that just it's staying right into this channel of 480 to 550. We'll have to see if it will continue in this channel or not this week. So watch it over this area of 502 for push to 505 to 510 to 515, basically every $5. And you get this area right here of 520, and then you get this 535. So if you go on the weekly, so you could end up seeing a push to 535 on Netflix. So we definitely have to watch that. Now another one that it's interesting to look at is Pepsi. Now Pepsi on the weekly, it looks like it's going to break out over 148. So I would watch Pepsi for a breakout over 148. I'd grab it over I'd grab it at 148 for a push to probably 150. The top of the Keltner channel is 151, so it could get a push to 150 to 155. I believe that is all-time high right there, the 148.77. So if it does manage to break all-time high, it's probably going to make a big push. So I would definitely watch Pepsi. Disney is the last one. Now Disney, it's got this big support right here at 168, and I was like looking at it last week. If it fell through, that it could fill the gap. Right now it's holding. If it does manage to get over Friday's high of 170, 173, I'd watch for a push to 174, 175. If it does manage to get over 175, it's probably going to make a push to 178 to 180. Then you have a little gap up here to fill 184. So, but you also have to be aware that if it doesn't get over the 174, 175, and it does manage to go back down to the 169, 168 area, I'd be very careful because it's probably going to fill the gap. So Disney is pretty much it can go either way right here. Right now it's holding, and it's making it look like it's going to go stay above the 170 area, but we'll have to see if the market's weak and the market does sell off, or anything that happens this week, or Disney has bad news, or any other bad news that this could end up taking a different direction really, really fast. So I would definitely watch for Disney for either direction this week. So that's going to do it for the watch list. Like I said, and keep saying, the gap ups in the news, it happens overnight and during the day. It's going to change how I look at things, and I'll flip my positions or my outlook of thesis really fast just based off from that. So that's why you need to be in the room. And that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the video. Thanks.